They should be able to hear the audio.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, and then to the. Really? Okay. Listen to it live. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. Hey, Tucker. Tucker. Yeah, you're ready. You're ready. All right, almost ready. We're ironing out this.
So we're gonna have one microphone for everybody, and the reason why last time there was like feedback, and it overcompensated, so we're dealing with so we're gonna be guiding questions to me. So we'll call you by name.
Oh, yeah. Do we need to, that's going to end the Zoom probably attendees. If we end it. Yeah. We'll record it and decide if we want to distribute. Oh, yeah, we should say that too. Yeah, I think this one's mine. I think one of those is Jordan. Do you have a mic that you like better than the rest of them?
Either one. Yeah, they're all the same. Yeah. But this one you'll have to turn it on. Just
Test. Good. What's gonna need help? Look, it's allowing her to share. So since you're in, I just spit out.
sure.
Okay, we're going to start here in just a minute. So just some housekeeping things. If you have to use the restroom, it's right out the doors to the right. And then we have some coffee and water at the entrance.
Mind if I use the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were going to say that.
Oh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited for today. We have another core panel. Today, we're going to be discussing teams and team building and how to manage it. So we're really excited. We want to just thank everyone who's shown up in person, and then also to all those folks who are tuning in online over Zoom. We know it's a very convenient tool, so we're happy that you're all able to tune in online. Just a real quick thing to plug is we just rolled out our new marketing website. It's very fresh, very clean, super user friendly, and we're extremely excited to be bringing this out to the marketplace. It is called lt.digital. No .com or anything. We're in the 21st century, so we're allowed to use .digital now. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Brenna Harper with Land Title.
Well, thank you all for being here. We want to thank Elevations Ian and his team for letting us use your beautiful space. We love it. But we're going to go ahead and kick off here. So this core panel is just something that we put together. We put different panels together to get industry experts up here so you can hear from the best. We have some questions. We'll have about an hour or so of questions with them, and then we'll open it up to questions for you. The only questions we can't answer would be like those commission questions. Just, darn Dora. But everything else is, as long as they're willing to answer, is fair game. So we'll kind of get going on that. Yeah. Yes, we're working on that right now. Oh, yes. Yes. So I will just have the panelists introduce themselves. So Nikki, if you want to go ahead and start and then just pass it on down.
I'm Nikki Thompson with Remax Alliance, and I have a small team in Old Town Arvada, and there are 6 licensed agents and 1 office admin.
I am Jordan Terrell. I run the Jordan Terrell Group. We're with Real Broker. That's a newer brokerage here in Denver. I have a team of 22 agents and 10 full-time staff.
My name is Greg Smith, and we have a team of 18 brokers. And then we also have 3 support staff and 2 partners in that as well. So thank you.
I'm Carrie Higgins. I am part of the Higgins Kalush Collective with Compass, and we are newly formed as of like 4 weeks ago, but we've been working on this for a while. And so we've got, besides Kristen Kalush and I, there's 4 other agents and 2 support staff.
Perfect. And the first question I'm actually going to direct at Nikki. So if you want to hand, sorry, I didn't think about that very well. But Nikki, at what point did you decide that you needed to build a team?
I think for me, it was when I couldn't sleep at night. I would wake up in the middle of the night and think about something that I had forgotten, a phone call that I forgot to return when I took it in the car, a document I forgot to get signed. So when I started reaching that point of waking up in the middle of the night and doing work at 1 a.m., I decided that it was time for me to start hiring at least an office staff person.
And Nikki, to piggyback off of that, what was your first hire?
So I think I had reached just over 80 transactions. So I waited way too long for my first hire, but it was a transaction coordinator that worked part-time.
And Carrie, I know what you wanted to chat on this too. At what point did you decide that you wanted to build the team?
I guess pretty similar, except that I had a transaction coordinator all along. So mine was, I just realized that growth was not sustainable at the rate I was working. Like it was just not smart, right? Like there's only so many hours in the day, in the week, in the month, in the year. And I'm trying, as we all are, to balance life. So to figure out how to not work 60 hours a week and be able to ride my bike with my husband or whatever. So 80 transactions, it's insane. I don't know how you did that alone. But I think I was at like more of a dollar figure for me. And I knew I wanted to grow from there, and there was no way to do it without building.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that? Okay, I'll keep it with you, Carrie. I think you're in the thick of this right now, but when you're building a team, how do you target talent?
Yeah, that's tough. Is anyone looking for a team? No, it's not tough. I mean, there's a ton of agents out there, as we all know, right? And so I think for us, it's really organic of like people we know, people we've worked with, people we've actually they've been our customers or our clients before. So far it's been very organic. I think that Kristen and I have hopefully a really good reputation in town. We're always available in the office. We're always chatting with other people. So, and making relationships with other agents naturally through transactions and just through networking. So we, so far have built it just from the ground up, like just organically. But I don't think our method of growth is to be putting Facebook posts out there or Craigslist posts. I mean, it's just like, it's going to come because there's personalities that you want, right? And I think when you build a team, you're building a brand, and you don't want somebody who doesn't meet that brand or have that same brand and that same approach to their business. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
I'd be super curious what other people say though, because in that I'm probably the newest team on this panel, and we are looking at growth and wanting new agents. Can't just rely on just the people So
Yeah.
The question.
When building a team, how do you target talent?
Yeah, I think for us, we've always tried to grow from within, meaning through our own relationships and our networks. And we have people on our team that came from clients, like they were clients, they bought a house and they liked the experience they had. And so now they wanted to join the team. And we've built from, most of our people are newer agents. And so we didn't go out and recruit existing agents, although that's started to happen now, where we have existing agents that have been in the business a long time and come to our team. But for us, it's just a process of identifying, do our values align? Do our goals align? Can we add value to them in a way that helps them grow their business? And ultimately, if they fit our culture, they fit our culture. So.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think for our team, what we've seen is we use a little bit different model than a lot of teams. We're more of a spoken hub model where we set ourselves up as a strong support network for our brokers. And we look at our team members as partners in the business. And so we look at really identifying people that actually may have been in business for a while, but also could use, have a tweak and a nudge here and there as far as to help them be successful. So a lot of our team members have actually come from, they've been in the business a year or two. They may not have actually fully succeeded at another environment. And then they come and work with us, and we help to coach them and help guide them and actually look at a very holistic approach of are they addressing their sphere properly? Are they addressing their farm properly? We are blessed in that I came from a tech background, and so Boulder Home Source is actually one of the top ranked sites in Colorado since it was established in '98. And we've had very good long tail and short tail success over the years. And so we are able to build lead flow for our brokers as well. And I call that, we were able to facilitate the pump and help them get going and get them transactions up and going and help them to grow. So a lot of our bringing team members in is actually helping folks that have the skills, have the network, just haven't had quite dotted the I's and crossed the T's of how to get there. So I think that's been our biggest opportunities is to be that spoken hub model for them. And we do put that broker front and center. We don't actually put the team front and center as far as with their sphere and their network. So that's been very successful for us, that model.
Perfect. Thank you. Nikki, how about you?
Well, I just took more of an organic approach. So as we reached a level where we needed someone else to help manage leads and facilitate and give the same quality of service, then we've just added agents from that point forward. I think my first hire was 10 years ago, Erin Houston, and she was a transaction coordinator for another real estate company. And she hadn't been in sales, but she knew all the logistics. So it was really easy to hire her because I didn't have to train her on contracts and the back end of things. And it was just on selling up front. And she's still with me and she's a rock star. So I think for us, it's just all been organic and people have presented themselves at the right time when we needed them.
Perfect. Well, I know even some agents that aren't building a full-blown team are looking to hire an assistant or director of ops or something like that. And it can be a really hard position to fill, and it's an extremely important position. Do you all have a specific hiring process? Did you get lucky? Are there things you would have done differently? It sounds like obviously you had some great success with Aaron, but as far as that first hire, what is your process with that?
So the transaction coordinator was really easy for me to hire, and their position went from part-time to full-time operations manager for our team. But that's because I had already reduplicated myself. So every little thing that I did from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed for a real estate transaction was set down on a checkoff sheet. And so my operations manager, when they came in, they literally stepped into Nikki Thompson, and it really helped in training someone because I didn't have to fill in the blank space, is what I like to call it. And if I ever lose sleep or one of our agents lose sleep, it's because we don't have a system for it. So it's really easy to add and morph and interchange our system as they go. And I think transaction coordinators are so popular now. Really great, well-trained transaction coordinators that work with other teams. So you don't even have to have one on staff. You could hire someone. The only suggestion I would make when you hire a transaction coordinator is that they don't work past 6 p.m. So if your transaction coordinator is sending out documents and forms after you don't want to work, then you're getting questions and people are calling you when you don't want to work because they're receiving documents. So that would be my only suggestion, to make sure they're working business hours.
Yeah, my first hire was an assistant. And the way I look at it is there's so many, every activity is a dollar producing activity, but some activities are higher dollar producing activities. And so if I can free myself up from the $25 an hour activities, then that frees my time up to do higher producing activities. So negotiation, client acquisition, prospecting, networking, all those things are high dollar producing activities. But if I'm stuck in the weeds of a transaction management or scheduling showings or whatever it might be, then I'm basically losing hours out of my day. And so that's how I looked at it. I literally put all the things on a piece of paper, and I drew a line through the middle of the paper, and I put $25 on one side and I put $400 on the other side. And I just started assigning things. And then that was my job description. And I went out and found somebody that would do that. And I paid them a wage. And then before I knew it, they freed up so much of my time that I went out and made more money, and I needed more people. And that slowly happened. I got in the business 5 years ago, and somehow that's happened over and over and over, to 32 people, which a big team doesn't necessarily mean better. It means a lot of headaches. But I have a leadership background. And so I was doing a lot of leadership stuff before in building teams. And so that naturally is where my mind went. But at the end of the day, I look at my team kind of like a doctor might look at his doctor's office. You have a surgeon, you might have a PA, you have a RN, and you have assistant nurse type of position. You have a front desk person that's doing some financial stuff. And we try to run our team that way as well. So we have different people doing very different things, but all kind of seamlessly working together. And the stuff that I involve myself in is like the heavy negotiation, the surgical stuff. That's the highest dollar producing activities.
Sure.
Yeah, unless you.
No.
No, the only thing I was gonna say is I learned a big lesson in hiring my first assistant, who was very part-time. He was also my best friend. It actually worked out, but I learned my lesson in that. And I try to tell other agents this who are thinking about hiring their first assistant, is that don't pay them hourly. And that could be opposite of what other people say, but the things that we need help with might take 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, might be 45 minutes of running an errand out to Lafayette or whatever it is. But if you pay somebody hourly, it tends to become messy in like these 5-minute tasks. And my friend was not charging me for it, and therefore she wasn't valuing the job. And I would end up paying her like $100 a week. And I'm like, but you saved my butt a million times. And she's like, I know, but it only took me 5 minutes. And so it was this back and forth with like, she then wasn't valuing the position, and somebody might not value it if they are only making $100 a week. But the small little things that she saved me tremendously. And so I would say, and then I was like hesitant to ask her to do small things because I knew she wasn't paying me for it. And it was like a favor, right? So it became this weird position. So my suggestion to anyone thinking about hiring their first assistant or part-time assistant or whatever is set a fee, a monthly or weekly or whatever it is. And therefore there's no awkwardness when you're asking them to do small tasks for you.
Yeah, I think building a team is the first you have to think, what's the value proposition I'm giving to my team members? And so a lot of times I think it is bringing in administrative support. If you are looking to set up a team structure, is building a strong admin first and building up good core. Nikki said she had her processes and procedures all laid out ahead of time. So I see teams sometimes will go and they'll say, okay, well, my first hire, I'm a broker. My first hire is going to be, I'm going to go get hire a buyer's agent. Well, sometimes I step back and say, what's the value prop for that buyer's agent? They're going to come in and work your leads, but what's the support to that person? So when we built our team and we looked at, and actually I was very lucky. Quite frankly, I've had great team members over the years and assistants, but it was building a strong core first, admin first, processes and principles and procedures and philosophy was critical. And then once you have that built, now you can start adding team members. And the team members, because then they're getting something of value. They're getting admin support. They're getting marketing support. They're getting Sphere coaching support. And that's when you're bringing a value proposition to that team member. So I think that's very critical. So I do believe you build from admin first. Like once you get your business, like Nikki said, she was up to 80 transactions. I was not there. I was at 48 transactions when I decided to bring my first assistant in. Matter of fact, actually, I'm going to reverse this on the head. I was the assistant first. My wife was a broker. And then I actually sold my software company and then trying to decide what to do work first. And I came in as the assistant to her. So it was good. I actually came in as the assistant first. We had a child and she retired from the business and still supports it. But that gave me a key piece that we went and said, okay, let's build admin first. And then we started building a team on from there. So I think that's probably a key principle.
Greg, I'm going to let you keep it because you
Sure.
kind of already talked about this. But as far as value proposition, it sounds like your value proposition is the structure of the team and having that great admin support system. But also, how do you communicate that to people that you're bringing onto your team?
We lay it out. We go in through as far as our CRM, what we're expecting. So the greatest thing about real estate is you get to wake up and do what you want to do that day. The worst thing about real estate is you get to wake up and do what you want to do that day. And so it's, I have the pleasure of being a managing broker and a broker owner of an office as well. And it's interesting to meet with folks on a weekly basis and ask the core principles. Were you in flow with 50 people this week? And the answer is usually no, or they don't know if they were or weren't. Well, if you want to be in this business, it's a high touch, high contact business. You have to be in flow with 50 people a week. I'm sorry. So it's that's the reality of the situation. And that's what I found is the biggest thing as a team is actually bringing accountability to the table. And so we utilize a CRM, and that's our big value proposition is to say, yeah, we're going to help coach you. We're going to help guide you, and we're going to help you get in the flow of 50 people a week. And how are we going to get there? We get there from multiple different ways. Sphere, just like we're big ninja believers as far as our philosophy. So, oops, sorry, folks, should have turned that off. So that's the key is communicating that value prop is that as far as how we're going to help you reach your goals. And then number two is our value prop is how we're going to help you set up your farm. And then how are we going to help you set up our online lead gen? We have about 600 leads a month that come in. Is that about 600, McLean? Yeah. McLean, who's sitting right here, is our rock star marketing ISA and helps run that side of the business. So we have a large, very successful lead gen that comes in. So that helps them as a value prop as well. So we just sit down and lay it out to them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Jordan, you want to share yours?
I like to summarize it by saying leads, leadership, and leverage. Those are the three things we want to provide our team members and our agents. Leads, like Greg, we generate. We have probably about 20 different lead sources. We generate about 5. I wish Siri could do that. I would hire her. We generate, yeah, about 500 leads a month. Our team is constantly in growth mode. So when I said we had 22 agents, about a third of those are support agents. So when I talk about leverage, I'm talking about transaction coordinators, listing coordinators. I'm talking about, we have an inside sales team that's processing those leads and turning them into relationships. And then we also have what we call licensed agent partners. So we have salaried agents who assist our producing agents. And so when an agent comes under our team, they have this idea that someday they can become a lead agent with a lot of leverage. You know, they have an assistant, they have ISAs passing them and setting appointments. They have transaction coordinators, listing coordinators handling a lot of things for them. And then ultimately we provide leadership. So I've done everything I can to provide a really solid leadership team that can provide them coaching and training. For some of our top people, we've actually outsourced and hired coaches outside of our network. So we pay for monthly coaching for them if they're needing the higher level of leadership. And at the end of the day, my hope is that we can provide more value to the agent than they can provide to us as a company. Because if I'm providing more to them than they can provide, then it's in alignment. If for somehow I have an agent on my team that's doing more for our bank account as a company than we're doing for them, then we're out of alignment. It's not a good fit. I'm taking away from their family. And so I think the greatest way as a team leader to get what you want is to help people get what they want. And if you focus there and focus on helping everybody else win, it just keeps on coming back. And so that's kind of my internal goal every day is how can I help this person build a really big life? Because I often say this, I said this to Carrie earlier, real estate agents are typically screwed if they're successful or screwed if they're not. If they're successful, they have no time, they have no life, they have no balance. If they're not successful, they're broke. And so either way, you're kind of hosed in this business. And so I'm on this mission to figure out how can you be successful at work and at home. And if there's a way that you can have a good flow and a good work balance and make good money and actually enjoy your life too, that'd be cool. Can you actually take a vacation? Can you actually turn your phone off? Those are goals that I've set. We have mandatory days off. We have mandatory vacations. These are things that where if they drop their phone in a bag and zip it up, I might even help pay for it. Because that break is more important than them doing another deal. So those are some of the things that I think about when I think of value proposition.
Nikki, did you want to weigh in on that? No. Okay, perfect. Well, Nikki, here's another question for you. What is an unexpected challenge of having a team?
So, Radical Candor. There is a book. It's called Radical Candor. And when dealing with a team, I think people are afraid of speaking the truth and transparency of hurting someone else's feelings. So we have read the book Radical Candor as a team. And I know when one of my team members comes up to another and says, Radical Candor, they really want their true opinion. They want to know exactly how they're feeling, and how you answer this question is how we're going to be moving forward from this point on with any other questions. For example, we have a full-time agent who also stages on our team. So an agent may come up to her and say, Radical Candor, I would like for you to take a look at this picture, help me reorganize this family room, and I don't want to pay you. Is that okay? Then however she answers that question moving forward is how the rest of the team is going to handle it. So she really needs to stop and think about what she wants to do in answering that question. So we have really worked on transparency and being really honest with each other. So that was a challenge at first. Also, we had an issue with, we have different split structures within the team with, what's a team lead, what's a personal lead. And in talking with another team that is brilliant, they just simply said, Nikki, it's just black or white. If it's a sphere lead in their database, it's a personal lead. If it's not in their database, then it's a team lead. And it just made it very simple from that point on. So that was a challenge at first. And now we have some new challenges. So how do we develop a team within a team? We just went to the REMAX conference last week, and that was the question I was asking every person I met is how do we create a team within the team and make that happen? I loved your advice. Thank you, Jordan. And then, just constant marketing and making it so that you see my team members and not me. I want you to see their different personalities, how they handle transactions, what their humor is, because I want you to relate to one of them and work with them. So it's getting them out in the public and getting them taking video of themselves. It's really hard, actually. They don't do it very often. I'd love to see them do it more because they are such wonderful people. So
Perfect. Greg, did you want to weigh in on that question as well?
Yeah, I think I echo some of the biggest challenges. One of the biggest challenges was a structural shift we made years ago. We used to be, everything was the team, was Boulder Home Source. We had a group picture. We always went that path as far as our marketing was concerned. And we actually shifted probably 3 years ago, to actually identifying the individual team members in their farm mailings and things more than the team as a whole. And because it gave the consumer someone to attach to. And so that was a learning experience for us. We still brand very strong in Boulder Home Source team, but that was a pivot. And I think that became from a learning experience, and it actually has paid off and worked out well. And I think the team members actually really like it. So that's been a big piece. And then I would say our other biggest challenge that we're still working on is how to turn off our phone while we're talking. And the funny thing I will tell you guys is I can tell why it's ringing, because I have it turned off for everybody else, but this is my mom. And I do not let it turn off for my mom. So McLean's going to take care of that. So my mom cannot be turned off on my phone, just so you guys know. And that's why that is. So, and that's okay. So I have to say I would speak to mom over anybody anyways. So I think that's our big challenge that we have. And then the other piece that we ran into is the balance, what Jordan said. How do we create balance for our team members so that they can leave and feel that they're supported and that they can actually not have to be on all the time? And even with a team the size that we have right now, that's something we're still working on and need to grow through and need to build structures so that our team members can take the weekend off.
Perfect. I'm going to direct the next one to Carrie, and you all had opinions on this one, but as far as a specific hiring process, and a lot of you mentioned the organic and kind of go with your gut, but do you have any specific tools? Like, are you using personality assessments? Are you using different platforms? It can be kind of scary. How do you navigate that and make the right hire?
Well, I might not be the best person to answer this because we don't have a process, but I will tell you that the whole point of Kristen and I coming together to create a team. And I'll say that all teams, there's no one size fits all. Like, there's every different structure for teams, and you go to any real estate conference and nobody has the answer. They're like, I want to form a team. How should I do it? And there's all these categories as why are you forming a team? Do you want to do a spoken wheel thing? Do you want to just have a zillion junior agents under you? Like, what's the point, right? And so Kristen and I, we had very specific reasons why we were coming together, and very specific reasons why we thought we were a good fit for each other. And that being culture. We both treat our clients in the exact same, like we could be twins of each other and how we approach our clients and how we deal with transactions. So, and it's from a point of like being super ethical, super honest, really hard hustlers. And then we just kind of had the same kind of, I don't know, just the same kind of personality when we're with clients. We've done transactions together and we just figured it out. So I'll answer that by saying we don't have a process, but it's a culture we've built, and it's a culture we're continuing to create. And I think when you're in this business, you have to be a people person. And I think it's really easy to size up that person based on reputation in the community, but also a transaction maybe you've done with that person. it's really all about personality for me. So, we don't do personality testing or anything like that. I don't feel like in my world, that's as important, but it's fitting into our culture, which is very important.
Well, and to your point, every team is so different and every culture is so different. And so I think sometimes people just they've seen one team or they've seen a couple teams and like, oh, teams aren't for me. But I would encourage people to look. I mean, we have 4 amazing leaders up here and all of your teams are pretty different and
Yeah, I
offer
was gonna-
different
yeah.
things. So what are you looking for?
Yeah,
As much
totally.
as what you all are looking for, what are those people looking for?
Exactly. No, and it's exactly true. Like if you look at the 4 of us, like, there's Nikki came from being a solo agent going crazy, right? And like built her team out that way. Jordan's just like built a machine and his is like process. I came together with another agent that does a very similar amount of business, very similar types of businesses, but our spheres of influence had no overlap, which was amazing in a small town like Boulder. So, we came at it from different angles, all of us did. And so there's really in conversations of teams, there is no wrong or right way. It's what you have to know what your goal is and like, why would you build a team or why would you join a team? And so if you're looking to join a team, why? Are you looking for leads? Then you might need a machine that's producing 600 leads a year. If you're looking for just the energy and a culture, and the energy of people who you go into the office and it's inspiring, you're like sharing ideas all day, every day. Group text is amazing when I'm in the situation. What do I do? Like maybe that's a culture that you're looking for support and for mentorship. So there's just different needs on a team and different ways teams are organized.
And I'd like to go down the line on this one since you're all so different. But so Greg, do you have any specific hiring tools? Like, do you use a personality assessment? Do you have a checklist? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we should, is one, but we don't. So we actually interview, basically it's the structure we use is a lot of times a person will meet with McLean or Joe or myself to start. And then they will meet with the other group people as well. And then they also will meet within the team members on the team. And so that's how we hire. So we have multiple interviews to make sure they're a good fit and that they have a good feel. But we don't use any personality profiles or anything along those lines. So,
Jordan?
And yeah, by the way, you said process. Process and Jordan don't go together. I've hired some people that are really smart and have created a lot of that. And I think it's awesome. But in fact, they had a meeting the other day and I thought I was part of it. And I showed up and they were like, we're talking about process. You're not supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, okay. Let me know if you need any help. So we have created a hiring process because it's become pretty messy. When you hire the wrong person, it's painful. It's really painful. And we don't recruit. I've had bad experiences recruiting. We rather attract. So I teach our people to operate in such a way where if people are asking questions about what they do, and then they're like, how do I get into that? And that's where a lot of times where it starts. But we have a video that we've created. So if somebody's interested in being part of our team or being part of our brokerage or whatever, there's a video that they can watch that just kind of outlines like, this is who we are. This is what it looks like. And if you're interested, the first step is just apply. And so we have this thing called Wise Hire. Maybe if you've heard of it, the wisehire.com. It's a real estate built hiring process, basically. And you can use it to like run ads on Indeed and other places, but I don't really run the ads. I just use it as a place to kind of hold the application. And they fill out the application and you can build the application however you want. And part of that process in there is they have to take a DISC profile. We actually love the DISC profile. It gives us kind of a first level assessment. We have then based on that.
Hey, Jordan, what's a DISC profile?
What's the DISC profile? I have no idea. It's a personality profile that's spelled DISC. And what's cool about Wise Hire is it actually is built for real estate. So it will actually tell you how this person's built and what position on a team they should fit. Are they a transaction coordinator? Are they an operations person? Are they a recruiter? Are they a buyer's agent or a listing agent or whatever? And it's not rule, but it's kind of an assessment, right? And it tells you if they're a good fit, and you can start it there. Obviously, it takes their resume and other things. And if we are interested, then we do like a 20-minute phone call. If we're interested after the 20-minute phone call, we do a one-on-one. And I'm not part of the hiring process up to this point. They meet with our team members. And if they get past that, then we do a cultural interview where we actually have them out for a dinner or drinks with some of our team members. And they have to actually have people skills if they're going to be an agent. Like if you don't have people skills to some level, you don't have to be an extrovert. I know a lot of very introverted, successful agents, but they still know how to have a conversation, right? We then do a spousal interview if they have a spouse, because if you're in real estate, it is going to impact your spouse somehow. And so we actually invite the spouse to be a part of the meeting, because the root of all frustration is bad expectations. So we try to set expectations really clearly, like this is what you're signing up for. I know you wanted to be a real estate agent because you would have flexibility and you could make lots of money and it's just easy. But we all know it's not, and it's not very flexible. And so we take them through like a 9-step process. I mentioned a few of those. Another assessment that we love is called Working Genius. I have no idea where to find that, but it's called Working Genius and I like it. But it basically breaks it up into an acronym called WIDGET, and it gives you your 2 working geniuses, your 2 working competencies, and your 2 working incompetencies. Basically the things that you're horrible at. And we like to see where they fit within that as we're adding them to the team. It's really, really beautiful.
Nikki?
So my friend Piper Knoll told me that there's 47,000 real estate agents in the state of Colorado, and there's 47,000 different ways of doing business. And when you think about that, it's quite horrifying. And I think the same way with the team structure. You know, there's so many different ways of putting a team together. When I took a personality test or what career choice I should have when I was in high school, it told me I should be a mechanic. And so I did not believe in these tests. I know I can widgets and gears, like I got it down. And so I didn't believe in these, but until about 3 years ago. And if you walk into our office, you will see every team member up and you'll see their Enneagram, you'll see their DISC personality, and you'll see their love language. And we did this because we're a safe place, right? This is where you come and you completely throw up everything that's going on in your life, because you don't want to take it home to your spouse. You don't want to take it to your clients, but you need a vent. You need to get it out. And so we see the worst of each other a lot. We do. And it's a safe place where there's no judgment when you leave. And I know if you're a reformer on an Enneagram, that the way you talk to others may seem aggressive and it may seem unkind, but the way that you talk to yourself is worse. And so each team member presents to our team their Enneagram, their love language. They talk about the good, the bad, the healthy, the unhealthy. And then we know what to expect and we know how to take care of them if we see them coming in and we know they're having a bad day. So that's how that's our culture. That's how we work. That's how we love each other and we bring each other up when we need to. Our hiring process, I meet with our hire first and then I take them to the team. We have some pretty high energy readers on our team. And usually we can tell pretty quickly if they're going to be a good fit. Sometimes we didn't, and it hurt, and it took a while. They say to hire slowly and fire quickly. There's definitely within real estate teams that needs to happen. But yeah, so.
Perfect. Okay, the next one's for Greg. You mentioned this because I think he's here, but do you have an inside sales agent and how does this look?
We do. We have McLean, who is our ISA, and how it looks is most of our lead flow, we have a very structured response system that we utilize as far as our lead flow goes. And we utilize a company, it's GGMS, that has our response built in. We use Sierra as our website. So the leads will come into McLean. McLean will help nurture those leads. And Then once they get to a certain level, he'll distribute them out to the brokers on the team. That's one channel. We bring in leads from a lot of different areas. That would be more our organic and our PPC leads that we have coming in. We also are part of Zillow Flex program. Those leads actually, that setup is actually, they do go directly to the agents. That's the way the system works. But we coach them. We call them. McLean and Joe go contact them every Tuesday. All the team members have to go through every lead they've received and where that lead is at and what process and what stage that lead is in. And we move them through the stages. And then we also participate in Realtor.com leads as well. Those Realtor.com leads actually do come through our ISA department before they're distributed out to the team. So that's how it looks.
Perfect. Jordan, what does your ISA program look like?
So we have 2 full-time ISAs. One of them is our lead ISA. He manages a lot of our lead flow systems. But they have their own schedule. They work. They kind of work on and off to cover each other, and they manage all of our systems. We have like Greg, we have a lot of different lead sources coming through. We also have Zillow Flex, and those are going directly to our agents. But then our ISA team will actually take those back from the agents if they don't convert them within a certain time frame, and then they will nurture them and take care of them. We see every opportunity as a relationship opportunity, and so we try to really instill that into our culture. These aren't just, we, at the end of the day, we call them leads in a system, but we don't want to call them lead for long. We want to call them friend. And so we're trying to figure out how to become friends, whether they buy a house or sell a house or whatever. We still want to at least land somewhere in that friendship zone that we can have a real conversation. And so these guys are running a lot of systems. We use Follow Up Boss as our main CRM. We also have Sierra as well. We just like paying for 2 CRMs. It's fun. So we actually use text heavily. We're seeing, we actually beta tested, like A/B tested. We bought 1,000 leads and did only phone and only text, and we converted about 200% more through text than we did through phone calls.
Those millennials, man.
I know. And so yeah. We train, well, the ISAs that use only the CRM. They're sending those texts through the CRM. We try to keep our agents in the CRM as much as possible, phone calls, everything, because the ISAs will actually go back and listen to the agent's phone calls and coach them. So our ISAs are, because a lot of times in some models, like ISAs are kind of seen like you can hire like a VA ISA, and pay them nothing. You're basically saying, hey, I want this person that I'm paying nothing in another country to be the first person that interacts with these potential clients. So we actually put our ISAs on a pedestal a little bit. And so they're actually coaching our agents on how to interact with clients in a lot of ways, because they're doing it more. So they're setting up appointments. They have access to every agent's calendar. They're setting appointments, and like we have there's a software called Sisu that we use to manage a lot of our systems. And so they're setting appointments within Sisu, and then the client or the agent will go in there and convert it from appointment set to appointment met and fill out the forms. So everything is all about a form. Every time there's another stage of the relationship, they're filling out another form and adding more data to it. And so by the time they go under contract, the transaction coordinators have like all kinds of data that they've been collecting and filling out. But it all starts with the ISA, and they're just managing CRM relationships, and they have multiple conversations going on at any given time. If I walk in their office, they both have these giant monitors, and they have like probably 12 conversations happening at once each. And they're just talking to people, and all via text, or they have their headsets on and they're talking. So it's pretty intense. At this point, I have no idea how they do what they do. It's just really impressive.
Awesome. Carrie, this next question is for you. So I think a lot of agents have kind of gotten to a certain point. They know maybe this is the next step, but they don't know what systems they need in place before they jump into the hiring process. So what would you say are the systems that you need in place to be able to have a good foundation as you're starting to build a team?
Well, I think both Jordan and Nikki touched on it earlier. And I was like squirming in my seat because I was like, yes, that's exactly right. So it's like Jordan said, you have to know what you need help with that are like, for the first admin, okay, for help, for building your foundation of a team. What are those tasks? What are you assigning to other people that is like not your $400 an hour, right? Not the building the business, not the being with the clients, not the negotiating. Okay. So that's one thing that was said earlier that I'm going to repeat, and I'll bring this all back together. And then Nikki was talking about systems. And one of the best things I learned at a Compass retreat this past fall, and talking about in a room of like 200 people and talking about what's the best way to build a team. And there is no best way, but this agent out of Lafayette, California, said she does like 400 transactions a year. She's like, Lafayette, California, like average price points like 2.2 million or something, right? And she's owned that market for 15 years. And she has this giant team now. And she's like the sweetest, like old lady. I'm like, how do you do this? Like 400 transactions a year. And she said, you can't hire people or bring agents on your team to think that that's going to solve your chaos. Okay. So if you have chaos, you're like, every one of us who has chaos as an agent, we're like, we need help. I need help. I need to hire someone. I need an agent. I need someone to work for me, right? That's the answer. That's not the answer. The answer is a system and systems. And only when you have systems can you hire someone to help calm the chaos. Systems are going to help calm the chaos. And what do I mean by that? Like, so we sat down as a team this morning. This is perfect for this conversation. And we were going through what internally we call business tracker, and how do we are assigning tasks to a business tracker. So you've got a business tracker. My whole point being is it's a system, right? And so our system is, I know what Courtney does for marketing. I know what Heather does for operations. And once I pull in, once I have the contract signed for selling somebody's house, I can basically press go in our system, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do. So that calms my chaos, right? So I've got 2 listings going live this weekend, and I'm going out of town. A year ago, never could have done that, right? That's chaotic. Like I'd be like, cancel the vacation, screw Crested Butte. There's no way I can go. And I'd stay home depressed with the dogs, right? But now that I have systems in place, and like Heather knows that she's in charge of the marketing, delivering marketing material, making sure the writers on all these like little tiny silly things that are like your 25. I mean, we pay Heather more than that, but like the $25 an hour tasks, right? It's a system. I know she's taking care of it because it's in our business tracker. It can be checked off. I'll get a text alert that she's done it. So I don't know where we started this, but I'm going to repeat that in building like the systems, like that's the only way to really build, to bring on either agents or full-time employees for help, is to calm the chaoses with systems.
I love that point about bringing someone else on is not going to solve your
No, it
chaos.
adds more chaos. This agent, she was like such an inspiration to me. She was like, no, you bring another person on, that's more chaos. And it's so true, right? Because now you're trying to manage that person. Am I right? Like 22 people, that's chaotic without systems. Like who's doing what? There's like who's on first, who's on second, right? But if you have systems, you know exactly where those people are slotting in, and they know exactly where they're slotting in, which is as important, right? They're not going to feel needed or worthwhile if they don't know what their job is.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that as far as the systems needed before you jump into team building?
And I think systems goes beyond just the grab and go, like your listing files, your buyer's files ready, your listing books, your buyer's books, all of that stuff, digital and print. It goes into your clauses that you use, your templates for your emails and your texts, kind of having that all set up and ready to go for your team is valuable. I mean, that's when we have our team meetings, that's the one thing we talk about. What clauses are we altering? Which clauses are we adding? What templates need to be altered based off of the environment that we're in right now? And you have to have that base in order to have those conversations.
Well, I think something important too is realizing, Jordan mentioned with some of the tools he uses, it teaches you here is your kind of highest use, your best use. Maybe these are the things I'm not great at, but hiring someone that's good at things you're not good at. Right. So if you're awesome at getting the appointment, but you're not awesome at operations, you need to look at that, or vice versa, and making sure everyone has that right seat on the bus. Anyone else? Okay, Jordan, what are the lead sources for your team?
Yeah, so there's so many different types of gimmicky things out there. So you got to be careful, and I would encourage anyone that's like buying leads to get with some kind of network of other team leaders, because maybe it's a mastermind group or something that you can kind of throw it out there. Email me. I probably wasted money on it already, and I can tell you it's not worth it. But there's just a lot of really good stuff, and there's a lot of not so great stuff. So that's the first thing, is be careful, because there's a lot of shiny objects, and as long as you work and follow up with leads, they work, as long as it's quality. So we've done realtor.com. We don't right now. We do Zillow Flex. We do pay-per-click in a lot of different ways. Pay-per-click, Google, pay-per-click, Bing, pay-per-click, whatever we can get someone to click on and it costs money, that's pay-per-click. We do Facebook stuff. We do Instagram stuff. We even drive a lot of business from signs in listings. We have a system in place that makes sure that anytime that sign gets a phone call, that we're now integrating them into our database, and we're following up with them. I don't care if it was, so we have, sometimes realtors will call our sign. It's like, you didn't want to do that. We're going to follow you everywhere. But we're going to show up in all of your Amazon orders. But yeah, so we pay for advertising kind of everywhere. We do some farming as well, some traditional like mail farming. We do radio advertising, which is kind of a very unmeasurable advertising source. It's more of a market share play. I would say Google Local Services is probably one of the best ones right now. You just have to have a ton of reviews, and you have to stay on Google's good side. If you get on Google's bad side, it's not good. What else do we do? We're always testing new things as well. OpCity with realtor.com is something that we're looking at. But
Awesome, Greg. This next one's for you. What is the 5-year vision of your team?
Was a 5-year vision of the team. As our 5-year vision of our team is to continue to pivot and adjust as the industry does. So I think that's we're in a shifting environment right now, but actually that being said, is going back to the core principles. They really haven't changed that much in my 25 years. So it's really it's interesting. As much as everything's changed, it stayed the same. So the 5-year vision is to continue to add services and benefits to our team members, but also, and then to continue to grow the team as we can support the members on the team, is the way I look at it. So, do I have a goal of, okay, I want 50 team members or 75 team members? And the answer is, I don't know. It'd be more as do we have the ability to help grow the team? And then my team is then bringing up the team members within the team. My 5-year vision is pretty clear, is Joe and McLean, and helping them grow and them evolve, and them taking on much more of a leadership role in the team, which they already do. I can tell you guys right now, I bet you sitting in this room, I work less a week than any of you. I mean, I probably work 3 hours a day, maybe. That's if I really work hard. So that's the other thing. So my goal is, how do I evolve and help the next generation of brokers and team leaders become, take the reins and run with it. So that's my 5-year vision.
Awesome. And kind of on the other side of the spectrum, Carrie, just getting started out with your team, what's your 5-year vision?
Well, we were pretty clear as to why we were joining as a team to create this collective. And so luckily we both have the same vision, and that is balance of life. So one of our goals is, like, I want to be able to, to go to Europe for 1 month. And my team is such, I've got processes in place that I confidently can do that and not stay up all night because the time change, emailing and doing docs, like that's silly. So, we definitely want to grow. We don't have this idea of like, we want to be a certain number or certain kind of producer. Within Compass, we have one of our core principles is collaborate without ego, and that we continue to come back to that. So it's growing organically with people who are like-minded, so we can all collaborate together, grow together, and support one another so we can have a balanced life, if that is even possible in this career. Raise your hand if that happens. See, this 3-hour day thing is unbelievable. I'm not there yet. I've got a long way to go. And it's different point in my career and different point in growing this team. But I do think that creating a culture that we want to support each other is our 5-year goal. I mean, it's like Kristen and I both love working for better or for worse, but we do also want to balance that out with being able to go to Crested Butte and have 2 listings go live. So,
Anyone else on that one?
I think it might be though. I'm not sure I'm actually working because I'm not sure I ever work. That's the question. I actually just love what I do. So maybe it only feels like an hour or 2 a day.
So you found the secret. You found it.
Yeah, the thing I would say about like when I think of 5 years from now, like when I got in the business, my only goal, and maybe this is small thinking, but my only goal was to figure out how to take care of my family. And so that was 5 years ago. My first deal, or my first time to get a transaction, the deal under contract, I got 4 under contract in a week. And I went on vacation the next week. And that vacation sucked. And I was like, this is horrible. I drove there thinking, I drove to Aspen. I was like, man, I'm going to make so much money. This is so cool. And then I got there and I hated my vacation. And so while I was there, I was like, I'm hiring an assistant. So you guys waited till you get 80 deals. I waited until I got 4 deals. So I hired an assistant. And then at the end of the year, I was like, I had bought a bunch of leads and I was doing well with that, but my phone started ringing. People in my sphere started calling me. And so I thought, man, I need another agent to help with this. So I hired an agent. And then I realized that other agents weren't good at calling people and following up. So I was like, I need an ISA. So then I hired an ISA and another assistant. And it's just been like this organic process of like, what do we need to do next to support the people that are here? And so it's never been a goal to grow. It's just been a process of just evolving. And there's 2 phrases that I like to think about when I'm thinking about growth. And first off is, and you mentioned this about chaos, is healthy things grow. I mean, if what you have is not growing, it's not healthy. So you have to make it healthy, and you have to figure out where does it need to get healthy. The second thing is, who in here is a control freak? Most, high. So I like to be a control freak, but you can't grow. So there's this quote that I love to think about, and it's this: you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both. And like, think through that and let it sink in. And if you want to grow a team, you can't control it. You have to let go a little bit. You have to be willing to have someone do something 70% as well as you could do it. And then you now have something to coach them about and support them and help them turn into a 10. But you have to actually let them fail a little bit.
I think something really interesting you brought up, Jordan, is, and kind of also to Carrie's point, there's not one way to build a team. There's not one structure of hire this person and then this person and then this person. So a lot of it is filling a need, knowing very clearly what your vision is. Because if your first hire had been another agent instead of an assistant, things may have gone differently. But maybe Nikki needed an agent first. Just knowing your team well enough to know what direction, instead of just, well, my checklist says this is the next hire that I need to make. So kind of one last question here, and it's not on the list, so you can field it as you will. But, the last couple of years have been extremely difficult with our market. And a lot of people say it's going to be another tough one, if not the most challenging year. How have you all set yourself up for this year? Or shifted your focus to prepare for the market that we're in?
So we're just getting back to basics, belly to belly, building relationships, I think is what we're focusing on for the next 2 years. And, it was tough when you're a single agent and you hear that you're non-essential. And when you have a team and you have now 6 people that are non-essential and staff, it hurts and it's tough. And you become this mother hen or this father rooster. Not sure. Not sure how that works, but, your protective instincts come in and you take care of yours, right? Like you just want to take care of the people that you have, and with not fake positivity, with real, genuine concern and taking them with wherever they are in their life and help lifting them as best as you can. And our focus, I think, is taking care of ourselves as our team and our clients, wherever they are, whatever is going on in their life. But then also really reaching out to those that are around us, those that are in title, those that are in lending, those other agents that are surrounding us, and just letting them know that we're here. We care. We want to collaborate with you. We want to learn from you. We want you to learn from us. We are an open book. However we can help our industry and the partners in our industry, that's where we want to go. So for the next 2 years, I think we're more about giving. We're just giving of ourselves, giving of our time and each other protectively, right? Like within some balance, but we are here to give. And there was a time with real estate, you can, especially, as a mom in this industry, you can give and take. And I just stopped giving. I took a little bit. I was at home with my kids more, and I spent that time more with my family. Well, my kids are older now. My baby's going to be in high school, which is crazy, but I have more time and I can give back. So that's our focus for the next 2 years, is just giving.
Yeah, the last 3 years have been painful, and it's been a constant battle of just navigating. And when COVID hit, every day I called a meeting every day at noon. I said, every day at noon we're gonna role play and practice, and figure out how many people we can call and just check on and see how they're doing. We have nothing to sell. We only have people to call. We have past clients to call. We have people in our database to call, and we're just going to call them and see what they need. Do they need food? Do they need a gift card? And we shifted our focus, and then things opened up, and business came back. So we're constantly pivoting. And last spring, I had a bunch of newer agents that didn't know how to sell houses. They knew how to help buyers, but we didn't have any listings, and we were suffering. And so we got out we went back to the basics and started training. I started training all my agents how to be listing agents, one by one, and started teaching them to think like a listing agent. And then this year, it's there's a new challenge, and there will be more challenges. And I don't think this is called life, right? And so, but when you're doing it with a group, you have to be the chief encouragement officer all day long. You have to constantly be encouraging and pulling people out of. The COVID year was the worst. I had people they literally stuck their head in the sand and were hiding. And I'm like, dude, you still have a family. You still have to provide. You still have to show up. You can't just hide. And it was hard. It was really hard. And when you have a group, you just have to pull them with you and kind of drag them forward.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, if you were to look at our team growth, it actually started growing exponentially on March 21st of 2020. Is because I can tell you, Glenn, Joe, and I were in the office, and we looked and said, hey, everybody else is pulling back and getting scared. And maybe it's my rugby, maybe it's maybe it's our jujitsu. But maybe when my mindset usually is when there's a challenge, I tend to put my head down and just start driving. And that's what we did. So we actually upped everything. We doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on absolutely everything. And we grew in the last year from, I think, 3 team members to our 18 that we have now. So we took a little different philosophy. I actually am a broker owner, so I actually purposely kept my team small. I didn't want to compete against the own brokers because I thought they would be perceived that people would be like, oh no, he's getting too big. It actually hasn't worked out that way. It's actually been, people like it. They like that because we're very open book. I share every one of my systems is shared throughout my brokerage. My listing presentation I give to everybody. My SISU, my follow-up boss, our everything we do, I share with absolutely everyone is an open book. There's nothing we don't share. So as a result, it's been a very good beta testing ground. So I would say it's the last couple of years and those has actually been a huge benefit for us, and having the team is leaning into, but we've also, it gives working as a group helps. I mean, you come to a weekly meeting and say, hey, I can't find a listing for this person. Well, when the group steps back and says, okay, well, have you done a mailing into this neighborhood, or have you knocked on doors in this neighborhood, or I've heard of this. So a team even becomes more powerful in a market like it is right now to help. So, but we've leaned into this new market. We actually like this market. So that's the way we look as, okay, well, how do we get one? How do we make it happen? It's again, Ninja. Our job as brokers is to solve problems. And if there's no problems to be solved, why do you need brokers? So that's what we have to, our mind says, how do we make friends? Like Jordan said, how do I become your friend? And I help you solve your challenges. I'm here to do that for you. And that's our team's philosophy. So yeah, this market, we like it.
Even 2022?
It's like in 1998 or it's 2000. I actually might have been, I don't want to take 100% collect to it, but nobody else in the market knew about escalation clauses. And then I actually said, oh, I'm going to make this clause that my offer is going to be this much more than anybody else's. And we rocked it. We crushed it then because nobody else was using this clause. So that was creativity back then. Everybody uses it now. It's everybody knows, but nobody knew about it then. So it's actually stepping back with your team and putting your mindset and together is how do you create the next escalation clause that helps your team be more successful and set our buyer, not even our team be more successful, set your buyers and sellers up for success. So yeah, in 2000 was when we came up with the escalation clause. Now you all know about it. But now what are we coming up with now that helps our folks?
He's doubling down on that. He did come up with it.
I don't know. Nobody else, I can tell you what, nobody else was using it and we crushed it. So I don't know if it was me, but I just know nobody else.
Did you have anything to add to that? Oh, just how you're pivoting your business if you are focused for this year.
I think Nikki and Jordan did they're more inspirational, more like touchy feely, which is awesome. Because it is a new team, I think the whole pivot is becoming a team. That is our pivot. And, Kristen Kalush and I spent hours in the Compass office being the only two agents in there for the last 2 years because everyone's like COVID not coming in. Kristen and I were like in the office, like complaining to each other, brainstorming with each other. So it was like, why aren't we getting to do this officially? And why can't we bring all the agents that are under us already into this collaboration? And so that is our pivot. And, I think the only thing we can do is work smarter in this market. And to Greg's point, what is the next escalation clause? I'm just kidding. No, but to work smarter. And for us, it's collaborating without our egos. So coming together, and that has been our massive pivot. And I think that I really believe in real estate these days that all agents need some kind of team, whether it's just one other agent that you're just buddies with, whether it's an assistant, whether it's a buyer's agent, whether it's joining a huge team. I think we all need the support. It is a lonely, lonely industry without it.
Perfect. We're going to open it up to questions, but any other closing thoughts or things you all want to touch on before we jump into questions? Okay, perfect. Anyone out in the audience have any questions?
Hi. As someone that's recently started a new small team just with another agent and two assistants, one of the things that I have an established list, obviously, of past clients I've been working with and have kind of been in touch with the last like couple of years. And I'm kind of struggling with how to introduce this new business partner of mine without the client feeling that I'm just kind of handing them off to this other agent because they've signed on with me. So not trying to make them feel like it's a bait and switch situation. Wondering if you guys have any suggestions on that. Obviously with new clients that come in now, I'm having us both meet at the same time with them so that they know who's running point and everything. But it's more like more established clients that I want to be able to hand over or, have them kind
I'd
of step
gladly
in.
answer that if you guys don't mind. Yeah. So, and this has less to do with my partnership with Kristen. So it's a little bit different, but I think it's going to answer your question. I have had now a buyer's agent, that is a title. To me, it's a silly title. She's a partner. And she is an agent who has 15 years experience, but from Texas, moved here 2 years ago with her family. And so she knows people. She's once again reflects my style, which I love. And she's super competent with humans. Okay. Learning the market. So here's how I do it. And it's been very successful so far. I introduce her as my partner. I say, she's going to tag along with us here. We're all on group text together. First day of showings, whether it's 2 showings or 20, we all go out together, myself and this buyer's agent. Right. So I am introducing her with time. Like this is not, I'm handing her off, bye, see you later to the clients, the buyers in this case. I haven't handed her off. I'm there the whole way. I'm on every email. I'm on every offer. I'm on every text. I'm comment. So Therese will every now and then she'll ping me and she'll be like, you need to comment. Like we have collections in Compass and this where the clients go and they make comments and they tour requests and stuff. And if I've been quiet for 4 days, she'll like say like, you need to say something, like be involved because I've been busy. Right. So I'll be on there and I'll be like, oh yeah, that house is great. I love that neighborhood. Oh, it looks like views, or whatever. And so to the client, there is no handoff. And how I explain it, and I think and this is collaborating without ego. I think we all should have this kind of help is in this market with buyers, you need 2 of us. This is a 2-for-1 deal. Because if I'm unavailable on Friday at 4:30 and this house that's the only showing time in Broomfield at $600,000, you need to get in there. And if I'm unavailable, that's no reason why you shouldn't be in there at 4:30. So it's just a 2-for-1 deal. There's 2 of us working on your behalf because in this market, you need 2 people working for you. So even though I have handed them off behind the scenes, I'm staying involved and I read every text and I know their emotions. I know, I'm not telling them goodbye. Does that help? Yeah. I don't know how to do it.
My biggest realization is I'm the worst broker on the team. So they're better with any of my team members anyways. So I'm actually very comfortable handing them off. But I'm actually somewhere as far as you. When I work with, I usually bring it, there's a partner that we're going to be coming in. And then we make sure that we integrate into even the text they send out. Like, we go out and say, hey, Greg and I were visiting and here's what we think about this. Or so my name is still part of it, but I have actually found removing ego is they're actually okay working with, because we have great brokers on the team. They're very comfortable working with those brokers I found. And I just keep my name involved and I do stay in touch, but it's never been a challenge. So.
Yeah. So last year I did about 80 transactions personally. And I have 2 licensed agents and I worked about 1 day a week on that. So I was constantly passing my clients off to my partners, and the new ones, you're right. It was super easy. They didn't even know who I was. Like they just thought I was somehow involved, but I was involved in the back end. To my past clients, they were either really excited that my company has grown to the point where I'm so busy that so they were like happy for me and they were happy to work with someone else. For the ones that had a little more ego, I just made it about them. I said, hey, you're such an important client to me that I want to make sure that you're extra covered. And I never want you to miss out on an opportunity. And so I'm bringing two people to support me, to help you. And I'm going to be involved, but I'm only going to be strategically involved on the things that only I can do. I'm going to have them all over town run around for you. And they were like, oh, wow, thank you. So it's all about framing and just making sure you frame it in such a way that like, it's like a waiter that goes into a restaurant and says, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Things are going to be really tight tonight. We're understaffed. And then they come out and over deliver. The client now gives them a big tip because it was all about framing. They weren't actually understaffed.
I think
If you believe it, when I say that these guys are far better than I am, they're going to treat you better than I ever could. If you believe it, they will too.
and right up front here.
So I know Greg and I have talked about this. How do you guys deal with time management? Because the tyranny of the urgent seems to undermine all of my systems because I just can't seem to get that in line. So how do you
Well,
deal with that?
I love the new contracts. I love the time deadline on there. I think that really helps all of us agents. Nothing's going to be solved after 5 p.m. unless you're getting an inspection back and you have to do an objection. That's probably my only hiccup with everything. But, you know, there's 24 hours in a day. And so if you sleep 8 of them, you can work a hard 8 and play the other 8. And so for me, like head down, I go in and I just work my ass off. I'll close the door and I'll just get my stuff done. And then I just plan on playing after that. So time management's hard with showings. And I think the only way if are you actively showing buyers? Because I think that's tough right now on limited time frames.
Yeah, I'm talking more about, you know, the getting the system set up and,
Oh,
you know, the business building, but yet still prospecting and still lead follow-up when you don't have, because I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines and a licensed assistant. I'm looking for a buyer's agent and a partner. So, because I used to have a huge team of 7 and I did it all wrong. I learned every way to never, ever, ever hire. It was all
that's how the best way to learn.
it was. So I'm trying to do it better now, but it's the time management of trying to is what I struggle with.
The question, how do you have time to work on it?
No, I'm just curious on a day-to-day basis, how your perfect week or how you're, I don't know. And maybe no one has the answer to that, but that's the one thing I struggle with.
Early mornings are the best time for me. I'm your 5:15 a.m. workout girl, and then I get stuff done. And the quietness of the day, I just put my head down, and I'm a task person. So I task and check, and then I can move on. But I am happy to share all of our systems, our back-end systems, our checkoff sheets, anything like that with you. You are more than welcome to have those so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and that's luckily the way we've been running things. Yeah, we're all open book. I do not keep lists is the way you talk about time management. Everything goes in my planner. Like if I have to get something done, I don't actually have a list that I check down. I actually write in the planner when I'm going to do it. And so that's for time management for me is huge because I'm not carrying around this backpack of things that have to get done. I know what that Friday at 2:00, I'm going to work on that item. And so I'm not carrying it around for the whole week that I have to get it done. It's one of the things I forget who I learned it from, a time management class, but it's been one of the most powerful things is I actually set a time and date that I'm actually going to do a specific item and it's not on a list. And so it frees up the rest of the week for things to get done. And it's very, very powerful if you can teach yourself to do that. And then people say, well, what happens if something comes up? I said, well, you know, example is if I put a date with my wife and you want to look at property, you're not looking at property at that time because I have an appointment with my wife and the way I answer people, and if you ever call me, you ask, I'll say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at that time. And it doesn't matter what the appointment is. It could be I'm working out. Could be I'm mowing the lawn. It could be that I'm a date with my wife, but I have an appointment at that time and people understand that and I don't move them. So that's becomes huge in time management. And that's the only, and actually one of the first things we teach agents in the office is you got to learn how to control your life first in this business. Otherwise the business will control your life.
From an avid list maker, that's terrifying, but also kind of brilliant. So I might try it.
I am like my phone goes off on alarms, not reminders, because I don't get reminders. But if I'm driving and I'm like, I need to do this, you can set alarms for 24 hours out. And so 9 o'clock is my time for working in the business. So I'm like, set an alarm for 9:15 tomorrow morning to do this. So then I just do it tomorrow at 9:15. But I am the queen of alarms in my phone. Totally.
Somewhat new for me, but it's been working, is the putting out the fires, right? It's like you have someone text you at 9:30 and you're in the middle of, like, for me, I'm a little ADD. So like if I'm focused on something and I'm like squirrel, like that, like I will go put out that fire and anything to keep me from doing what I was doing, right? But if I can tell myself, I set timers for 20 minutes, I'm working on my CRM. 30 minutes, I'm going to work on files or whatever, like, right? And I have started to say, I'm not going to be with clients in person till after 2 o'clock. Because I can get so much done between 5 a.m. and 1 o'clock. Then I get showered and get ready, right? If I'm getting showered and getting ready because I have a 9 a.m. appointment and then I have a 1 o'clock meeting with the seller and then I have showings that start at 4, I'm all of a sudden working a 14-hour day. Right. And yet if I can just say, I'm not going to see clients, and I just say, and you say it nicely, right? Right. Like, hey, any showings really happen after 2 o'clock? Most of them don't want to see showings at 9 a.m. anyway. Right. Or presentations or anything. So that's been working.
And we do lots of little tricks and tips, things with our team that we've picked up along the way, and we share and collaborate. I'm sure you guys know tons of little things, but like little simple things like inspection objection comes in for your listing and you send it to the seller. And I've trained my assistant to send it to him and say, Jordan will be in touch with you by tomorrow, probably this afternoon. And I usually give it about 5 minutes before I get a phone call because they're like freaking out, right? But I won't talk to them until the end of the day because I want them to sit on it and simmer on it and cool down and relax. And so by the time I talk to them, they're not reacting, they're actually processing with me. But I'm not going to jump to that urgency because I know it's not urgent. They think it's urgent, but I'm going to let them live in that for a little bit before I deal with them. But willingness to do that. I also, when I'm building out my contract calendars, I'm actually looking at my personal calendar and I'm lining up dates around my personal life. I'm constantly trying to make this business wrap around my life versus trying to wrap my life around it, because it's just never ends, right? So there's lots of little things that I'm constantly trying to do. But yeah, there's a lot of urgency that pops up all the time. And I guess my willingness to just realize that nothing's gonna fall apart, you know, it always works its way out.
We have one from online. For those of you using Sisu, which forms do you use with, am I saying it right? Sisu for intake forms.
So we actually use forms within Sisu. They actually have built-in forms and we've customized our own forms. So we have the ability to create tags. So our agents create tags in our CRM. That tag syncs with Sisu and creates a link within the CRM. It also creates a list of tasks that tells them exactly what so like they might say buyer pending, that's a tag. And it creates a list of tasks that they have to do. You know, they have to assign the TC, they have to fill out this form, they have to do this and this and this and this. But one of those links that pops up is a link to Sisu that takes them over to our buyer pending form, which is just an updated form from the appointment form. And now they're just filling in all the gaps, price point, commission structure, notes, inspection dates, earnest money amounts, the listing agent's name, the listing agent's number, the listing agent's email, the lender's name, the lender's email, like all the details so that it's all in our system. And then now our entire team can work the file. So we use all the forms built into Sisu and we customize them for our team.
Jordan's actually using it more robustly than we are at this point, but Joe, do you want to give a rundown?
Yeah, so when we took on Sisu, we said it was going to be a 0 agent input software because we had added so many systems to our agents right beforehand. So our transaction coordinator actually will take and fill out all the forms. I know a lot of other teams across the country do use kind of how Jordan uses it, where it's like an agent form that fills out. But ours is all admin. Like our agents don't use Sisu on the front end at all. It's just data tracking and it's all admin supported and filled out.
Any other questions out there?
And just to clarify, Sisu is a system built for teams to track all kinds of data. And you can track sales, you can track conversion rates and how many dials that people have made and how many text messages they've sent. And you can track ROI by lead source, agent ROI by lead source. You know, you can track really anything. And so it's just a really robust data system. That's what it is for anybody that's not sure.
Jordan, this question's for you from online. Can you talk more about the role your salaried agents play in your group?
Yeah, so we call them partners. So they get licensed, they go through we have an onboarding process that's pretty, it's about a 30-day process. And once they get through onboarding, then they're hired as a partner if they want to be hired as a partner. If not, then they become an agent in training if they're a new agent. And so if they're a partner, they're paid a base salary plus commission bumps. So if they're assisting on a transaction, they get a percentage. If they bring their own sphere, then they get a percentage, and that percentage grows over a period of time. But they're getting a base salary because the reality is with real estate, right, that if you don't have a bunch of money in your pocket or a sugar daddy or mama or a trust fund or something, getting into real estate can be expensive because you're likely going to go 8 months without doing a transaction unless you're on a team that's just pumping you full. But even still, if you're on a team that's giving you a lot of opportunity, it's still hard to make that transition. So we pay a salary plus some bumps, and they end up making somewhere between 70 and 90,000 in their first year, and they assist the lead agent. And they show property, they sit in buyer consults and listing consults. They're part of the text thread. They set up showings. They end up showing the client most of the property. They eventually will even start writing contracts and negotiating contracts, talking to listing agents for our buyers. But that's like a little further down the road. The first month is watch me. The second month is watch you. And the third month is go and do, right? So it's a process of training them and teaching them and equipping them and making sure. But what we've seen it become is an ecosystem of developing agents. And anytime you have a machine that creates awesome agents, it's helpful in growing a team.
Perfect. Anyone else out there? Okay, well, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And if you all are okay, we have just a few minutes. If anyone has individual questions, they can come chat with you. But we really appreciate it. We hope you all got some value out of this. We did record it. So if you have someone that you want to share it with, or if you all would like it.
Yeah, Brenna, and I'm probably speaking for all of us, but if you guys, anybody needs anything or we could share, I mean, I'm happy to share, and you guys can email me. Same is true.
Same as well. You can certainly email me anything, answer any questions.
Well, thank you so much. And
My email is greg@boulderhomesource.com.
perfect.
Jordan@jordanterrellgroup.com.
denveragent@gmail.com.
Just Google it. You'll find me.
Well, we have more core panels coming up throughout the year. If you have panel ideas that you want to hear more about, we're always looking for ideas as well. We appreciate you being here and look forward to seeing you all at our next panel event. They were like answering the questions with their other questions.
I know,
I'm like,
that's how it always
I'm
happens.
like, okay.
Yeah, you gotta, there's a lot of navigation
That's why
going
I
on.
was like,